Hey everyone, and welcome. I bet you're here because you're either thinking about jumping into the real estate market or at least kind of curious what's coming next.
Always good to be prepared.
Right. So today we're going to dive deep into Zillow's 2025 housing predictions.
Oh, yeah. Those are always
And a
interesting.
little bit crystal ball-like,
Mm-hmm.
So buckle up because Zillow thinks things are going to get interesting and maybe a little bumpy.
A little bumpy is right from what I've seen.
Exactly. Our mission today is to kind of arm you with the knowledge to navigate that 2025 market, whether you're buying or selling, or honestly, just curious.
Right. Forewarned is forearmed, as they say.
Okay, so one of the things that really stood out to me in this report was, well, they use this word cozy a lot.
Yeah, that caught my eye too when I was reading through it.
What do you think they're getting at with this whole emphasis on cozy homes?
I think it might be that the pandemic era, where everybody just wanted more and more space, that might be fading a bit.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of just needing more square footage, buyers are starting to prioritize how a home feels.
Okay, yeah.
The design, how well it fits their lifestyle, all of that. So cozy could be like a way to describe this shift
A shift to what, though?
towards a more intentional, maybe even minimalist approach to living.
Like that, intentional living.
Makes you think a bit more carefully about your space. Right?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I can see how people are rethinking what really matters to them in a home, especially with costs going up and lifestyles changing so much these days.
For sure. And this actually ties into another big trend Zillow highlights: the rise of long-term renting.
Hold on. Are they saying that people are choosing to rent for the long haul?
Yeah, it seems like renting might not be seen as just a stepping stone to homeownership anymore.
Wow. So what's driving that shift then?
Well, Zillow points to a few things. The construction boom, for one, has eased some of that crazy rent pressure.
Okay.
And if that continues, and if wages, keep growing at a decent pace, renting could become more attractive.
Interesting. Attractive to who, though?
Well, I'd say to people who value flexibility or are, hesitant to jump into a mortgage right now, especially with the market being so volatile.
I get that. I mean, it makes sense. But, there's that classic dream of owning a home, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that fading away, you think?
That's a great question. And honestly, I don't think Zillow's predictions really give us a clear answer on that. I think it's more about recognizing that there are different ways to find the right housing situation.
Okay, I like that. So it's not renting versus owning. It's about finding what fits you.
Exactly.
But let's be real for a second. Those mortgage rates, they play a huge role in these decisions. And Zillow doesn't exactly paint a rosy picture for 2025, do they?
Not really, no. They predict more volatility, rates bouncing up and down all year.
Oh, great. Just what we all wanted to hear.
You remember what happened in September 24?
Oh, yeah. Don't remind me.
Rates dipped for a bit, then shot right back up to almost 7%.
Yeah, talk about a roller coaster.
Exactly. So are we just stuck on this mortgage rate roller coaster forever?
It kind of feels that way, doesn't it? But did Zillow say anything about what might be causing all this up and down?
They don't go into too much detail about the underlying economics, but, they emphasize that things like inflation
Right. Inflation.
and global economic conditions, they're all going to play a role.
So basically, expect the unexpected. That's really reassuring.
Well, it's more about being prepared, right?
Hey, true. But there's some good news tucked away in there, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think so.
Something about a potential shift toward a buyer's market in some areas.
Yes. That's where things get really interesting, especially for anyone who's ready to buy now.
Okay, well, let's break this down a little. What does a balanced market even mean for buyers? And where are these buyer-friendly places popping up?
So a balanced market basically means that neither buyers nor sellers have a huge advantage. It's more of a level playing field. Zillow found that 13 major metro areas, mostly in the Southeast, are already considered buyers markets.
Yeah.
And they expect this to spread to the Southwest, too.
Interesting. So more options for buyers, potentially better prices, maybe even some room to negotiate?
Yeah, exactly. But even in a balanced market, or even a buyer-friendly one, having a good agent can still be incredibly valuable.
That makes sense. So we've got this cozy home trend, the possibility of renting becoming a long-term thing, and maybe some buyer's markets starting to emerge.
Things are definitely shifting.
We're not done yet, are we? Zillow throws in a bit of a wild card, right?
Yeah, there's this big what-if scenario that could change everything.
Oh boy, here we go. Hit me with it. What's this unexpected twist?
What if those mortgage rates were to suddenly plummet?
Whoa, like a big drop, how would that even change things?
Oh, it would completely change the dynamics, totally flip the script. Because think about it, if rates become way more favorable,
Yeah.
a ton of new buyers would suddenly jump into the market.
Oh, right.
So now you've got way more competition for the same houses.
So instead of having more options and maybe being able to negotiate a bit, buyers would be back to bidding wars.
Exactly. And maybe even paying more than asking price. It would basically swing things back in favor of the sellers.
Oh, wow. So they'd have more power again. And buyers would, what, feel pressured to act fast.
Yep, maybe even overpay just to snag a property. It could get pretty intense.
Okay, so what are people supposed to do? Just wait around and see what happens with rates?
I wouldn't say that. It's more about being prepared,
Hmm.
understanding the different scenarios. If you're serious about buying, talk to a good agent.
Right, and aging can help you sort through all this.
Exactly. They can help you look at the market, where things are headed, and come up with a plan that works for you, no matter what rates do.
That's good advice. Okay, so let's go back to this cozy home thing for a minute.
Sure.
It feels like it's more than just like a trendy word people are throwing around.
I think so too.
Could this be like a deeper shift, how people think about their living spaces?
Maybe. It's interesting to think about what's driving it. Is it all about finances, people wanting smaller, more affordable places?
Yeah.
Or is it something else? Like, are more people looking for a simpler lifestyle? Less stuff, smaller footprint on the environment.
I like that. And it makes me wonder, is this cozy thing also a reaction to how busy and hectic life is?
Oh, absolutely.
Like people just want a place where they can relax and shut out the world for a bit.
Little sanctuary, right?
Yeah. Smaller home, but it's designed really well. It could feel calmer, more
Mm.
peaceful,
I think so. It makes you focus on how you really want to live.
instead of just getting caught up in like bigger is always better.
Right. This is about redefining what luxury means in a world where people are thinking more about mindfulness and well-being.
I love that. So for our listeners, whether you're into this cozy idea or still dreaming of a big house, the point is your home is a reflection of you.
100%. It reflects your values, how you want to live your life.
Zillow's predictions are interesting, but they're just one piece of the puzzle.
For sure. The future of housing really depends on what people choose to do, what they need, what they want, and how they react to the world changing around them.
And that brings us to like the biggest question of all. With all these factors, changing tastes, rates going crazy, renting becoming more popular, what does all this tell us about where the housing market is headed long term?
Ooh, that's the million-dollar question, and Zillow doesn't really try to answer it, but I think their predictions give us some hints.
Okay, well, let's play detective for a minute. What are the biggest hints, the things that might point to where the housing market's going in the future?
Well, I think how buyers are behaving is probably the most important clue. People are starting to be more picky about what they want in a home. They're prioritizing things like coziness and how a space works, not just how big it is.
So maybe we're moving away from this idea that everyone wants the same type of house, like the detached single-family home with a yard.
Maybe. I think we might see a wider range of options. Different types of housing for different needs and lifestyles. Cities and towns might have to change how they plan things to accommodate all that.
Oh, that's a cool thought.
Yeah.
So instead of one size fits all, it's like a housing menu.
Yeah.
But as that happens, what about affordability?
That's the big one, right?
Yeah, will having more variety actually make housing more affordable for everyone? Or will some people still struggle to find a place they can afford?
That's such an important question. It's great to have all these new options, but it has to be done the right way. You need good policies that help keep housing affordable and make sure everyone has a safe, decent place to live.
So we're not just talking about what houses look like or what's trendy.
Nope.
We're talking about how our communities are built and how we create spaces where everyone can thrive.
Exactly. That's why these conversations are so important. We need to think about all the different angles, all the possible outcomes, and work together to shape a future where housing is more than just something you buy or sell. It's the foundation for a good life.
That's a powerful way to put it. The future of housing isn't set in stone. It's something we create. Through the choices we make, the policies we put in place, and our commitment to building a world that's fairer and more sustainable. But for now, let's bring it back to Zillow's predictions and what they mean for you, our listeners.
Yes, let's do a quick recap and give everyone some practical tips for navigating real estate in 2025.
Okay, so if we're looking into Zillow's crystal ball here, what are the big takeaways for anyone thinking about buying a home in 2025?
Well, first of all, get ready for a wild ride. Things can change fast, especially with those mortgage rates.
Right, those are a wild card for sure.
Exactly. So don't freak out if rates jump up 1 month. They could easily drop back down the next.
So patience and flexibility are key. Got it. What about location, though? We talked about those buyers markets popping up. Should people be focusing on those specific areas?
I think it's definitely worth considering if you're open to moving, the southeast, the southwest, those markets might be a good bet. But every market's different, right? So do your research, understand what's going on locally.
And a good local agent can help with that?
100%. They can give you those insights that you're not going to find in a national report.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's flip things around for a second. What about anyone who's thinking of selling their home in 2025? Any advice from Zillow for them?
Zillow really stresses that presentation and marketing, they're still super important. Even if the market is more balanced, remember, buyers are getting pickier.
Yeah, they want to see a home that fits their lifestyle.
Right. So it's not enough to just stick a sign in the yard and hope for the best.
So no more set it and forget it.
Not really, no. You
Yeah.
got to think strategically. How are you going to showcase your property?
Yeah, make it stand out.
Exactly. Good photos, virtual tools, all of that. Make sure your descriptions are really engaging.
Didn't Zillow come out with a tool for that? Something called like Zillow Showcase or something?
Yep, that's the one. Zillow Showcase lets sellers create a much more immersive experience for their listing.
Cool. So it's more than just the basic facts about the house.
Right, it's about telling a story about your home. So even if the market does swing more towards buyers, having a really awesome listing can give sellers a big advantage.
Okay, so it's all about presentation and finding the right buyer.
And that's where, again, a good agent can be a huge help. They understand the market, they know how to reach the right people.
Right, make sure you're reaching the right buyers.
Exactly. So no matter if you're buying or selling, Zillow's predictions are saying, hey, find a good agent, someone who can guide you through all the ups and downs.
A trusted advisor, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground today. We dug into Zillow's 2025 predictions, talk about what they might mean, and hopefully gave our listeners some good information to think about.
It's been a great conversation, and I think the big thing to remember is that the housing market, it's always changing, so stay informed, be ready to adapt, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
And most importantly, follow your dreams. Create a home that you love, a place that reflects what's important to you. Whether it's a cozy little spot or a big, spacious place, we hope your real estate journey is a happy one. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.